Hey everybody, welcome to another Project Egg interview. Today we are talking to Mike Voort from Mill Valley, California. Mike, it's great to have you on today.
Hey, thanks for having me. How you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
Doing good.
Good, good. So let's jump right in. Mike, my first question for you today is, what is your story?
My story. Well, like you said, I'm born and raised in Mill Valley, California, which is in the Bay Area, close to San Francisco. And I used to vacation down to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico with my mom and dad, and they actually ended up retiring and moving down here. I came down to visit, liked it, and decided to stay. So I've been living down here for 11 years now. But at the beginning, I had to find a job. And what I was doing is I was actually selling timeshare. And I don't know if you know about timeshare, but it's a very in your face kind of has to be done today sale. And the first few years were pretty cool. I made a lot of money, but towards the end, I just started hating my job. But the one cool thing about timeshare is that I started getting into reading books. I got into Rich Dad Poor Dad. I got into Dale Carnegie, all these guys, and they that's how I found out about passive income.
Mm-hmm.
Rich Dad Poor Dad book. And so I always had this passion of how my money can make me more money, and I always thought it was about real estate and this and that. So I kind of went down that route. But deep down, I always wanted to make money online. I thought that was so cool just to have a website that can just work for me while I get to do the things that I like to do. And I ended up coming across a YouTuber named Stefan Palernos that a lot of us all know, and I ended up buying his K-Money Mastery. Kind of similar story to a lot of people. I bought that. I started publishing nonfiction books on Kindle. I was making a couple $100 a month or so, but I just knew that there was just so much more to be made. And so I ended up getting a coach. I got a coach, Nick, good guy, and he recommended that I start doing romance books. And so I started publishing romance books, and all of a sudden my income went to 1,000. And the next month it was 2,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was just man, this is awesome. But then Amazon flipped the switch, because back then they were paying $1.35 a download, and they switched it to page as read. And so my income went back down to 500, 800. So I just had to keep pushing, and I started, that's when Dave Koziel came out with the 10X program or course that he had. And so I 10X all my books, and I just started making ridiculous money. I remember I did 10,000, 20,000. I had a $30,000 month.
Wow.
And I've never even had that kind of money before. So it was just crazy. And that was right when my son was born. So I had all this money to be able to pay for the hospital, for all the baby stuff and everything like that. But Amazon came cracking down. They came cracking down, and I actually ended up getting my account suspended and some royalties held back from me. Yeah. So I had to stop doing the 10X, and I kind of had to just go back to just doing what I was doing about a year ago. And so, that's kind of my story with Kindle as of now.
Well,
Or
that's incredible.
money online, at least.
So, you were talking about how when you first started with selling timeshares, you made good money in the beginning, but you really didn't like it. It didn't give you the sort of satisfaction that you were looking for. Can you maybe talk a little bit about those feelings and at really what point you decided to make a change?
Yeah, totally. Well, I just hated waking up to an alarm clock. I don't like waking up at 6 a.m. in the morning. Here in Mexico, you work 6 days a week, so you only get one day off. So I was just working like a dog, and it just sucked. And so I just felt very irritated and frustrated. And I'm watching all these guys online that are just the 4-hour work week. That just they have these great lives, and they're not working, and they're able to do the things that they like to do. Like me, I'm very active. I like to play sports. I like to go to the gym. I like to hang out with friends and family. And I found it very frustrating that I didn't have the freedom to do what I want when I wanted. And so that was just my goal. And when I bought that K-Money Mastery course, I just dialed in. I spent like every day in front of the computer. I didn't go out with my friends. I just was like a hermit at my house, just watching video after video, and then just putting all that stuff into action because, I wanted it really bad. I wanted that freedom. I was willing to put in the work.
So you kind of brought up a really good point. A lot of the people that want to do these get-rich-quick schemes, or they think that the internet is just going to pay them money just to be on there. I feel like a lot of these people don't want to put in the work, don't want to put in the effort. So could you maybe talk about how much work it really took for you to start seeing meaningful results, and what kind of, like, what your day was, what your daily routine was, and how much work you had to put in to get there?
Yeah, I used to do a lot more coaching, and people would ask me the same thing. They're like, "Oh, so how long do I need to work until I can start making like $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month?" People thought it'd be like a month or 3 months, but honestly, I think you have to put in work, consistently. I'm talking like almost every day, weekends for like minimum 6 months, but more to like a year. You have to put in work constantly. Not hang out with your friends so much on the weekends. You just have to be really committed, and you have to want it real bad. There's a guy that I like to follow called Eric Thomas. I don't know if you watch him or not, but he really talks about how bad you want it. Are you willing to put in the work?
And I feel like for the people that they have this mindset of, I'm not going to let anything stop me, and I'm going to be the next person on Forbes 500 or whatever, they're willing to put in that work, and they're willing to really put in that time to get there. If you had to talk about some of the things that you've learned while on this journey, while on your journey to make some passive income, some mistakes that you've made and things that you've learned from it, what do you think would be the biggest ones?
Well, failure, I think, is just part of the deal. You're going to fail, and that's actually a good thing. That's how you learn. So that's, a really big thing is, failing. Another thing, you have to be persistent. Persistence is kind of huge, like what we were just talking about. And another thing that I've been learning a lot now, what I learned a good lesson from when I got suspended from Amazon, is to think long term. Like, it was great. I made like 50 grand in like, 3 months or whatever. But, I'm not making 50 grand now, so I always think like long term now. I'm thinking like 6 months out, a year from now. When I put books out or products out, I want that product to be able to make me like, residual or passive income a year from now, just not today or for this month, so I'm always trying to think long term now.
Right. You got to set yourself up for future success. So, you've been talking a lot about your personal journey and how you kind of got to where you are. What would you say are the things that you're working on right now that are kind of the most important things for right now?
Well, it's funny you ask because, before I've always been like, I have like my to-do list, and I'm always trying to like, I have to get this done, action, and kind of like, lately I've been kind of like get more like in, how would I say it, like kind of like connected, like I'm reading like a lot of like spiritual books. I'm trying to get like in like vibrational alignment. I'm just trying to like feel more like abundant, feel more like happy, feel more like everything's gonna be okay. I'm trying to get like in the zone, like mentally, trying to really feel like everything's gonna be okay no matter what. Because like, I have a family, and so I can get like stressed out about like financial insecurities and things like that. So I'm kind of focusing more now on like the way that I feel, basically, if that makes sense.
And yeah. And do you think that, once you figure out how to really feel good about what you're doing and feel empowered, do you think that that's going to translate into more success for your business?
Oh, absolutely. I just kind of like got back into this like a few days ago. And like all of a sudden, like I saw my pages read go up, create space sales went up. I had people like asking me to do reviews for them, and like I'm like, man, where'd all this come from? And it's all because I changed like my vibration, And I was just like, man, this stuff works. Like, why did I get away from this? I've been like struggling for like the past few months, and so now I've been able to just kind of like let all that stuff go and just like focus on like my vibration. It sounds kind of like hippie-ish. but it works for me. So
Hey, it's not weird if it works. So, um, but on your journey, and for those listening, I feel like everybody is really on a journey, whether it be an entrepreneurial journey or self discovery, self development. Um, on that journey, I think that there are going to be people who can help you along the way. And I think that those people, those mentors, are really instrumental to your success. So could you point to anybody in particular who has really helped you figure out how to get to where you are today?
well, there's like a lot of authors, people that I like to read, like the Teachings of Abraham, Neil Donald Walsh. Those are some people I like to read. There's like YouTubers I like Eric Thomas, Anthony Robbins. Um, when it comes to like just my business, like Kindle, one of the things that I'm always preaching is to be in a mastermind group. So I've been in a mastermind group for over a year now, and we, hook up every Saturday on Google Hangouts, and we just talk, Kindle, internet business, whatever. And like, surrounding myself around people that are, trying to do the same thing as me or even doing better than me, it keeps me like focused. It keeps me connected. It keeps me in the game. It keeps me like, I still have that drive, So definitely having a mastermind group is really big. And then those people that I mentioned earlier.
So for those who might not be that familiar with the concept of a mastermind group, and I think you'd agree with me, Mike, that it's a group of people who are like-minded, who have similar aspirations to you, who you can problem solve with, bounce ideas off of each other, and really succeed together. So for those listening, how would you advise to find a mastermind group like that? And what should you really be looking for when deciding where to invest your time?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So, I would start with like certain like Facebook groups. So there's like groups where people are like doing Kindle or doing Shopify or any type of like, internet business. And I would just, reach out and put a post out and say, hey, I'm looking to join a mastermind group. If anybody, has an open spot, I'd love to join. Kind of maybe like sell yourself a little bit. Be like, this is how many books, or this is what my store looks like, things like that. And if you don't get any hits, then what I would recommend is that you just start one yourself and just say, hey, look, I'm looking to start a mastermind group. I'm looking for some, like-minded individuals that are kind of at like the beginner, intermediate, or advanced level, wherever you're at. And I would just start it yourself, because I'm telling you, once I joined that mastermind group, I just saw my income just go like up, 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 up like that. And we've been able to create like great relationships. They're friends now. Like if I need help with something, if I need like a writer or like, anybody that like outsource stuff with, they're there for me. So I would definitely recommend that.
Right. And just to be able to ask questions to people when you don't know what you're doing, or you have a very specific problem, I mean, that is just valuable in itself. I really think that's great advice. And what you said earlier about I believe you said investing in yourself. I really think that's important. And could you maybe talk about how you've invested in yourself and really tried to better yourself, and what specific things you've done to really better yourself?
Okay, well, one thing I always try and do is I always try and take like 10, 15 minutes in the morning just to like kind of like I was talking about, like get in the zone or get connected. So like I'll do like a little deep breathing. I like to read. I'll do some like, affirmations, some things that I'm grateful for, some visualization. I'll pray. Just try and like start the day off. Because before, what I would do is I would wake up and the first thing I'm doing is like I'm checking my sales, because I'm in fear that like, things aren't going to turn out. But if I just like do the opposite and just be like, everything's going to be okay, life is abundant, kind of things like that, then, my days usually turn out better. And I'm always reading books. I love reading books. It could be like spiritual books, it could be entrepreneurial books, how to make money books, and I'm always trying to learn, so I really like reading, and I'm always looking for the next, good book that someone wants to recommend.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. So we've talked a lot about your past. we've talked a little bit about your present and how you got to where you are and what you're doing now. Could you maybe give a little bit of insight into where you're headed, your future? So if you had to answer the question, what is your biggest goal moving forward? What is the one thing you have to accomplish in your lifetime?
Well, my main goal is just basically to feel good, to be like a happy person. I want to feel like in alignment, have a good vibration going on. That's the most important thing for me. I also want to spend, I really like the freedom. I want to have the freedom to be with my family and do the things that I like to do. Like, I'm in sports leagues. I like to, go to the gym, hang out with friends, hang out with my mom and dad. Those are like my biggest, goals right now. If we were to talk about like business, it would be mainly just for to continue growing my my publishing business and my pen name. Because what happened to me was after the 10X, drama happened, I started dabbling. I started doing all these other things. Like I started a Shopify store. I wanted to do like a book promo website, and I was kind of like, how you say it, spreading myself thin. And I saw my Kindle starting to go down. And I remember like a year ago, I put out a video on YouTube saying like, don't be a dabbler. So I was going against my own advice. And so I just said, you know what? I just need to focus on one thing and just like crush it or do it as good as I can with this with the Kindle business and just grow my pen name. So that's basically what I've been focusing on now. Just like trying to publish as many books as I can, reaching out to people to kind of just like grow my pen name.
And so, you also mentioned earlier how you really want to sell yourself, and now you're talking about selling your pen name, and at the end of the day, it kind of seems like most things are selling. You have to sell this, you have to sell that, you have to sell yourself, you have to sell yourself on feeling good, you have to actually feel good to sell yourself. So, could you maybe talk about how you go about selling yourself and selling your products and selling your own personal brand?
Yeah, well, it's all about making relationships with people. So first you want to make it about them. Be like, how can I help you? Like, what's in it? What can I do to help this person? How can I make this thing about them? So I'm always like trying to like provide them value. Always talk to them like use their name so that like we're friends. Always trying to like build that relationship so that when they think about Mike, they think, oh, he's a good guy. I like him. I want to do business with him. I want to help him out because I'm always giving. In my opinion, the best way to get something is to give it. So like if you want more money, give away more money. If you want to get more book sales, help somebody else get more book sales. Things kind of like that. So that's what I do. I try and make it about them, and I try and just help the other person as much as possible because I know it'll just end up coming back to me.
Right, and you mentioned that you read some Carnegie stuff. I'm not sure if you're talking about How to Win Friends and Influence People, but I recently picked that up, and one of the first things that he says is you have to provide value to others. You have to give them a reason to want to be associated with you. And I really think that you touched on that nicely. I think that's profound, what you said. But if you could talk a little bit about your legacy. What do you want people to remember you for?
Yeah, I just want people to just think that Mike's a good guy. He likes to help people out. He's a helper. He he wants the best for people. He's not all about him. He's about helping other people. He's like a giving person, and he's just a cool dude, basically. He's not. I want like the opposite of like some egotistical, cocky type of guy. So just like humble. Trying to help his fellow brothers. Make it in this internet world.
Right. And I really do think that humility is key. And we just talked a little bit about legacy. Well, if you could really give one piece of information, one piece of advice to those following in your footsteps, what would that piece of advice be?
Just help others, and just try and feel good. if you're not feeling good, try and just come back to that point of, feeling happy, feeling joy, feeling appreciation, feeling love, all those like positive emotions. Because like for me, when I'm feeling like that, when I'm in the zone, when I'm connected, all of a sudden, just like all these good things start coming to me. When my vibration is, going on, then like all of a sudden, great things start happening in my life.
Right, and I think it all it moves together. My mother always tells me that I need to keep a cleaner desk, and she says you need to be more organized in your life, and it starts with your desk. So, when you really feel good about yourself, and you really find out where you want to be, and you really get in a groove, then that definitely transfers into your business, and I think you're a living testament of that. So I just have one more question for you, and then we'll wrap it up. I really do appreciate your time today. But is there anything about you that is an important part of who you are that I did not ask about today?
Oh man, that's a good question. Is there anything? Say it again. You kind of caught me off guard on that one.
So, is there anything that you think is an important part of who you are that I didn't ask you about today?
And anything that you missed is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Honestly, no, I don't think so. I mean, I think you asked a lot of good questions. It's all about like, persevering, putting in the work, and it's also about giving. It's also about getting, your alignment right. So no, I think you answered asked all the right questions.
Oh, fantastic. So if anybody in the audience would like to get in contact with you or maybe learn more about what you're doing now, how would they be able to reach you?
Yeah, there's several ways. I mean, you can check out my YouTube channel. It's Mikey's Fiction Army. You can check out my Facebook group on Facebook. It's also Mikey's Fiction Army. You can email me, MikeVDV2001@yahoo.com, or you can just friend request me at Mikey Vandervoort.
That's fantastic. Well, Mike, thanks again for tuning in. Everybody, this has been another Project Egg interview with Mike Vandervoort from Mill Valley, California. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thanks a lot.